All right, welcome to week 3 of your breakthrough year. The 52 different lifestyle changes that you need to be able to make in order to have incredible results. So, in today's lesson, we're going to talk about picking your problem, the power of controlled chaos. So many people want to be successful and they fail to realize that in order to achieve great success, your life has to suffer in other areas. Nobody likes to think about this concept because we always have this jack of all trades syndrome. There's so many things in your life that you want to be good at. Nobody wants to be bad or suck in any one particular thing. So what the average person does is they check many boxes of their life, which takes away from their ability to be masterful at one set thing. Even if you think about your personal life right now, right? There's a lot of different areas: finances, career, relationships, health, social life, spiritual, all these different arenas. You got hobbies, you got interests, you got skills, you got education levels. There's all these different things that are vying for your time and attention all at once. And most people, because of the fact that chaos brings along with it a certain level of nervous energy, like panic, worry, insecurity, and stress, we always try to put the fire out in every area that it pops up. So today's lesson is to rewire that type of mentality. Because if you don't internalize this particular principle, which is mission critical to your success, this is a fundamental understanding that you need to have in order for you to be exceptional at anything in your life. In order for you to be world class in any arena, something else has to suffer because there are not enough hours within a day, regardless of how well you can time manage. So let's talk about this first point, okay? Every single successful person understands that when you try to check the boxes in multiple areas to be able to let your life succeed on a certain level, it wastes an excess of energy trying to put out fires to just try to get your life to get to average or mediocre in certain areas rather than being exceptional in one. Let me give you a prime example with Michael Jordan. You know, a lot of times I tend to use him as the example of renowned success in one area because everybody knows the story of Mike. We all grew up hearing about him at some level. You know, when Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships, the truth of the matter is he could have won more. But the reason why he didn't win more is because of the fact that with all of the exceptional performance that he had in the arena of basketball, he really had a burning desire at some point to want to embrace the sport of baseball. And, you know, Phil Jackson, the legendary coach and trainer, won championships with the Bulls, won championship with the Lakers, won championships as a professional player himself with the New York Knicks. He found himself in a position where he was speaking with Michael and said, "Hey, Mike, I don't know if it's in your best interest to retire and go and pick up this other sport. I think there's still work for you to do in basketball. I don't think that you've reached the end of your course in that arena." But Michael Jordan, being so fired up for the sport of baseball, and like many businesses and like many people, assuming that your success in one area is automatically going to parallel into success in another area, he didn't listen to the legendary trainer, and as a result, he went into the sport of baseball, and he was nowhere near as eye-catching and phenomenal as he was in basketball. Exceptional athlete, no doubt, but the skill level was nowhere the same. So when you think about the life of Jordan, he could have actually won more championships and even had amassed more success than he had in becoming the greatest basketball player of all time in the way that he did, had he simply stayed the course and focused on this one thing. You know, if you read this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, very important book, very powerful. It talks about a lot of the different reference points that we're going to address today. If you want to be exceptional in any area and anything, you've got to be able to decide what area or areas of my life is going to suffer. Most people never legitimately want to be able to answer this question. It makes them too uncomfortable. It makes them too nervous. They get too afraid, and they allow their reptilian brains to say, well, no, Uzziah, I can't allow myself to suck in one area. Maybe if I just get better at managing my time, then I can do everything. And that leads to failures. That leads to a lack of effort in the things that matter. When you try to take your energy, which is in finite supply, you almost want to think about it as though you had some water, right? Imagine you being on a desert. And here it is, you only got one little cup of water, right? Only just a little bit to last you in terms of your survival for the day. You got this really tiny cup of water, but instead of giving yourself the full amount of water to be able to survive out in the sweltering heat, you say, well, you know what? I want to be able to have a little water for me. I want to be able to have a little bit of water for this plant and for that plant, so that way I can try to be growing a garden in the desert. And everything dies, including you and the plants that are never going to grow in the desert. Better for you to be able to take the little bit of finite energy that you do have with this water and use it all in one area, your self-preservation, rather than scatter it in different tiny amounts to the point that when it's all said and done, there's no growth and there's no survival for anything that you put those resources to, because you were not focused all the way, but you were so busy just trying to spread it out in every different area. You've got to be able to come to grips with the fact that you're not going to be good nor great at everything. And when you think about any legendary person, they became legendary based upon being phenomenal in one key area. Nobody looks at Oprah and says, wow, you know, I know that Oprah is probably a great cook. Nobody thinks that because they know that Oprah got to mastery level skill in one particular arena, right? Nobody looks at Michael Jackson and says, wow, you know what? As driven as Michael Jackson was, he was probably a good basketball player too. Nobody looks at that. Nobody thinks about that because everybody knows where Michael Jackson had extreme success was through entertainment, between dancing and singing. So what you got to be able to do is you've got to be able to do the emotional heavy lifting and ask yourself this question. What is the one thing in terms of a professional skill that I want to be exceptional at the expense of suffering in every other area? What's the one thing that I want to be able to get done within my life, because time is short? What's the one thing that I want to be able to accomplish in my professional life that when I focus on mastering this skill, success in this area will be so worth it, I'm going to be comfortable sucking and suffering in this, and that area. If you're not at a place where you can emotionally tell that to yourself and go through that series of asking that question and giving yourself an honest answer, you need to stop this video right now, because anything that I have to say beyond this point is going to be counterproductive to you. If anything, you need to stop this video, take a real hard look in the mirror. Ask yourself if you really want to be successful or if you want to be average like everybody else. If you really want to be world class or if you just want to be another person that's just okay, right? When we're going through this breakthrough year program, the breakthrough year is about rewiring your life so that way you can have a breakthrough in one set area. In order to be able to have a breakthrough, so guess what? Something else is going to have to break. You know how they say you can't make omelets without breaking some eggs? That's what's going to happen here. So the first fundamental principle that you need to understand is that when you try to take your finite willpower, your finite energy, your finite time, your finite money, your finite resources, and you try to scatter it across a multitude of areas where you're putting out a fire here, you're putting out a fire there, you're putting out a fire there. Oh no, I got to make this look good and I got to make that look good and I got to make that look good and I got to make that look good. When you take all of that finite energy that would best be used in one set place, but you scatter it around all these different things because you're so afraid of what if this goes south, you're going to be moving your way out of success. That's the first thing. Secondly, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to identify the outside obligations that cannot be ignored. Okay, so this may sound a little bit counterintuitive to the first point, which is when you waste energy trying to control the chaos rather than working along with the chaos. See, that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to embrace the chaos. You want to be able to embrace things going wrong in a particular area. Maybe, something might not be going good with, I don't know, things in the house. Maybe it's not as clean as you want it to be. At some level, you're going to have to embrace that. You're not going to be world class for being a house cleaner. You're going to be world class in another area. Even myself personally, as I'm building and growing my business, and you guys are a living witness to seeing, my following grow, my client base grow, the value and quality of my services grow, my email base grow, I'm choosing for things to suffer in other areas. At a personal level, at some rate, my health to some extent is not as excelled as I would want it to be, because typically I work out for hours on end at a day. I had to come to the realization when I'm trying to grow this business, I can't be in the gym for hours in a day. I might be able to do a little bit here and a little bit there, but my little bodybuilder dreams of trying to be just that guy that's just so cock diesel, that's a pipe dream for me at the present moment, because I have to let that dream suffer in pursuit of something greater to me. On another personal note, one of the goals, and this is what I had one of my clients asked me about in terms of how a prior year went for me. Just like any human being, I had certain ups and I had certain downs that I had to work my way through. Had a lot of professional growth, enjoyed it fully. One of the challenges that I found myself working through was pregnancy in my family, working on trying to be able to build a family, working through certain infertility issues. And one of the things that I had to come to the realization of is that I really needed to be able to get some other things in place a little bit more to be able to make fertility and pregnancy work at the level that I needed in order to be able to bring forth a child. For some people, you just breathe at a person and then bam, here we are, 20 kids. But in other cases, it takes more time, it takes more effort, it takes more nurturing. And I had to come to the realization that I had to set certain key things in place. First things first, in order for my situation personally to be able to work. So you've got to be able to look at your life and not only accept the fact that some things is not where you may want it to be, but you've got to be able to work along with it. You've got to be able to go with the flow. You've got to be able to embrace it. And so you've got to be able to understand for all of the things that you will deliberately ignore in your personal life, that are things that you would want to be at a different pace or a different level. You've also at the same time have to be cognizant about things in your life that you can't ignore. You've got to be able to make sure that you have that written down as well. This is going to be a part of your homework assignment if you guys don't know already. The first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to write down what's going to be your one thing for world class. And coupled with that, you're going to need to think about, okay, well, what things am I going to allow to be chaotic? What things am I going to embrace the chaos of in a particular area? The third thing that you're going to be doing, which is going back to the second point, is understanding which things in your life cannot be ignored. So I'll give you a prime example. If you are trying to grow a business and you're putting all of your money towards growing your business, at some level, you still got to understand that bills got to be paid to keep a roof over your head. So maybe paying bills might be something that cannot be ignored. Maybe you, from this lesson, may decide the best thing for you to be able to do is to start putting your bills on auto pay, as I've suggested previously. So that way, it doesn't even become a thought. It's just automatic. And then you're just taking money out in other areas to be able to put towards the business. You know, maybe you have certain family obligations that you've got to be able to fulfill. Maybe you're a loving parent and you just can't neglect your child completely in order to be able to, you know, have your breakthrough career going on for yourself. You got to be able to have some level of, you know, father-son time or father-daughter time, mother-daughter time, mother-son time, whatever the case may be. You need to be able to take some time and actually write out the obligations that cannot be ignored. Okay? Because the next thing that you got to be able to understand is for the things that are important in your life. And when I'm saying the things that are important, right now I'm talking primarily in the context of the one thing that you pick. You need to start creating daily time blocks around those things. So, you know, whether it's from 9 to 11, 11 to 1, you want to be able to set different time intervals in the day where you're totally blocking every other thing out except for your focus of that one thing. You're not doing anything else but that one thing. Okay? So that's something that you need to be mindful of as well, because most people, they try to jam everything all in one day. They don't give the required amount of time that it takes to be able to see one thing that they want to go all in on and say, I'm going to block everything else out. And I'm going to have 2 hours of uninterrupted time to be able to get this done. No phone, no text message, no email, no Facebook, no nothing. I'm just going to completely isolate myself to focus on this goal and this mission of mine that's going to move my life to the next level. You got to be able to put your time blocks around that one thing. And when you look at anyone whose life is on a growth trajectory, they're working and they're chipping away at that one thing every single day. So this is not just something that you're just going to do one day out of a week. You're literally going to install time blocks all throughout the week to be able to allow yourself to have the time, the focus, and the energy that you need to really be able to get to the next level in this respective area. Okay, so when it comes to the things that are inevitably going to suffer, here's what I would advise to you. You want to be able to enlist some type of a team in your life that can be understanding and supportive of the areas of your life that's going to suffer. I'll give you a prime example. You know, a lot of times when you look at a lot of guys in my area of personal and professional development, a lot of those guys are not married. And that's for two reasons. One, because of the fact that a lot of the work that goes in behind the scenes that you don't see to be able to make an exceptional business out of really being able to help change people's lives and change the world, it's really a Herculean feat. It really takes a lot of effort. So for a lot of people, they're not able to be able to really do something that's life changing and game changing, in addition to being able to foster on other relationships. Their life is changing other people's lives. That's why when you look at a lot of world leaders that have changed the lives of others, like Jesus Christ, Paul the Apostle, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi. When you look at all these different people in different arenas of life that were like world changing people, a lot of times they did it single because of the fact they were just so consumed and obsessed with what they had to do that there was really not a lot of time to pursue other relationships. Now, myself being married, that has its own implications. That's part of what I was talking about earlier about you deciding what life that you want to be able to have and knowing which outside obligations, aside from the one thing that cannot be ignored. My marriage is one of those things. It cannot be ignored. And so for all of the things in your life that will be ignored and inevitably find itself on the back burner and at some degree suffer, you need to be able to have a support system in place to be able to help you in those areas. So again, in my life, I'm not really the person that's going to be doing a lot of cleaning around the house. My focus as the provider and the leader of the house is to really be able to lock in on what I am doing right now to help be able to grow my family, to help be able to build my legacy, build my lifestyle. And in order for me to effectively do many of the things that I need to do, I can't do a million other things at once. There's many other things that I do in addition to personal development, which is real estate investing, being a steward in church. There's other different arenas that I've placed tremendous focus on. And so for every arena that I place such a intense level of focus and energy on, there's so many other areas where I'm not focused at all. I'm not thinking about it at all. I can't be involved at all. And I've got to be able to have a team on board that understands that respects that, and supports me in those areas, because success is a team sport. Again, if you look at somebody like that's a professional athlete, many successful professional athletes have developed a team of people that are able to support and do the things for them that they're unable to do for themselves. If a professional athlete has kids, their spouse is going to be the primary one that's looking after the kids. It's not to say that the athlete's not going to be in the kid's life at all. It's simply saying that the areas that they're not able to fully be all the way invested in, they have a team in place that's able to get those things done for them. It's the same thing in a business. Who's the first person that you should hire into a business after yourself when you're building your staff? A personal assistant. Because you need to start developing a support system internally to cover all of the tasks that are low to mid-level that you yourself cannot do. What you're doing as you're developing a breakthrough year is you're focusing on high-level activities. As you're focusing on that high-level activities, you're not going to have enough hours in a day to do high-level, medium level, and low level without the high level stuff suffering. It's not going to happen. You only got but so many hours in a day. So you got to be able to have a team in place that says, you know what? let me get this off your plate. You focus on bringing home the bacon. I'll focus on doing this. You've got to be able to have that team in place. So for those of you guys right now, maybe you're in a relationship. This means that you're going to need to have a real conversation where you're mapping out with your team partner what your one thing is going to be and how you have to clear other things off in other areas to be successful. And in order to do that, at some level, you're going to need their support. You're going to need their support either to do the thing and be able to delegate it off, or you're going to need them to be okay with life sucking in that area. Maybe you won't be able to have the house spick and span from top to bottom every single day. Maybe you won't be able to be the one to always get the groceries. Maybe you won't be the one to, do all of these bits of minutia that's not going to take your life in any forward direction, but it's always going to keep you at the exact same place, doing the exact same thing, getting the exact same results. If you want to be able to have a breakthrough year, you got to be very clear on what's going to be able to move the needle, and everything outside of that, you got to either be able to ignore, check it off the box if it is something that's essential. And then on top of that, you got to be able to enlist a team to delegate the things off that you will not be doing, or receive their moral and emotional or marital, whatever type of support. So that way you guys are all both on the same page, that it's just not going to happen in that area. There's many things in my personal life where, again, do I wish that I had certain things in place that was able to make my life just that much shinier? Absolutely. My wife wishes it as well, but I need her on my team supporting me in the things that I'm doing, because she knows that this is ultimately taking our life to a different place, rather than just focusing on maintenance of what we already have. What we already have now is good. But if we're really trying to get to great, that means that we're going to have to make sacrifices, and something's going to be sacrificed on the road to the top. Last but not least, as we wrap up today's lesson, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to develop very strong growth metrics, and you want to be able to put blinders on everything else. So here's what this means. If you set out to have a goal of starting a business, and you want to start this online business, and you want to say, well, you know what? I want to be able to have 10 customers by the end of July, just hypothetical speaking. 10 customers by the end of July, 10 people that are getting me 10 sales for my very first product. What you need to be able to do if you want to make that dream come to reality is you need to be able to have some growth metrics in place. So if you're running an online business, it's not just going to go from point A to point B on getting a customer. You need to be thinking about, okay, well, what are all the steps that leads up to them becoming a customer? Have they opted into my email list? Am I nurturing them as a part of the sales funnel? If I'm nurturing as the part of the sales funnel, do I have a product to be able to give to them that I could sell to them to get them to buy it at a particular price point? If you're focusing on those metrics, you're going to get to the point of a sale. Once you start looking at, well, how many sales did I get today? You have some good growth metrics in place. Okay. For those of you guys that are not business owners, this could mean something different for you. If you're applying to be able to get a better job for your career, are you paying attention to your growth metrics? Are you paying attention to how many applications you're turning in per day? Are you paying attention to what one skill you're learning, so that way you can add it to your resume and it could beef up your worth in the marketplace? What growth metrics are you setting in place for yourself? You want to be able to set your growth metrics, and then you want to put blinders on in every other area that can pose as a distraction. Let me give you a prime example of this. So in my life personally, I have this Post-it that's right in front of the wall. It's directly in front of this screen that when I look forward and I'm at the office, this Post-it is just staring me in the face. And these are my top goals for the year, the things that I want to be able to accomplish. When it comes to everything else in my professional workplace, it's a blank slate. So for many of you, and I've spoken about this before, when you have your phone next to you, when somebody calls you, the ringtone goes off. My phone stays on silent. I have my phone already designed so that way when anyone calls me, the phone goes on silent, or they're on a small list of people who will make my phone vibrate based upon the significance of that person calling me. If anybody else is not on that list, my phone's going to stay on silent because of the fact that I'm keeping blinders on. On my phone currently, I have 0 notifications. I don't get notifications when I get a new email. I don't get a notification when I get a new text message. I don't get a notification when I got a message on Facebook. I get no notifications because I'm putting blinders on in my life. If you're not putting blinders on, that's going to allow you to simply look at your goal and say, I'm going to put all of me into this area every single day. I guarantee you, you're going to make things so much harder for you to ever reach this goal because your attention is always going to be diverted in other places. If your attention is diverted with the latest email and with the latest text message and the latest Facebook DM, you're never going to be able to actually get things done. A big part of being able to grow and develop your skill to the point of mastery is learning the skill of controlled chaos. The better that you can get at embracing chaos, at embracing missed calls, missed emails, saying no to people, focusing on the things that matter, the better you off you will be on the road to your success. And if you try to people please, if you try to do everything, if you try to be all things to all people, if you try to be everywhere at once, if you try to be good in all these areas, you got to be the cleanest person in the house, and you got to be the best looking person in the house, and you got to be the fittest person, and you got to be the richest person, and you got to be all of these other 10,000 types of people in one, you're not going to succeed in any area. You're not going to be good when it comes to your physical fitness. You're not going to be good when it comes to your household upkeep. You're not going to be good when it comes to your professional success because you're taking the finite reserves that you have and you're scattering it all in so many places. So in today's homework assignment, I want to be able to quickly recap these points, put them down on paper, and send them to me. The first thing that you want to be able to do is you want to be able to pick your problem. What problem are you going to pick? I had to do this just this past week as I was evaluating how I was going to be able to get my success to the next level. What problem do I want to be able to have? Do I want to be able to have problems when it comes to finances? Do I want to be able to have problems when it comes to staff? Do I want to be able to have problems when it comes to spiritual matters? What problem do I want to be able to have and in what area? You need to pick your problem, okay? That's the first thing that you need to do. Pick your problem. Identify what things you want to be good at and what things that you're okay being bad at, okay? And some of the things that you're going to put on the list at being bad at is going to be things that you wish that you were good at. So you got to be able to do the emotional heavy lifting of getting through that. Get over it, okay? Pick your problem. And then what you need to be able to do is you need to have a brief list of the different things in your life that just cannot be ignored, okay? Because as much as you may want to be, world class in one area, you don't literally want to kill yourself because of it. I'm not telling you guys to die in exchange for whatever your dream is. So at some level, your health has to be important. At some level, your marriage has to be important. At some level, certain other areas have to be important. Take inventory of that, write it on a list, okay? Then you need to start creating time blocks. Every single Sunday, you need to start just creating time blocks of what your entire week is going to look like. For me personally, I call these deep work sessions. I have different daily intervals where I hop into a 90-minute productivity session that's focused solely towards the one thing that I want to be exceptional at in my life. Everything else is blocked out. You want to be able to write out in your game plan what team you're going to have that's going to be in support of your areas of controlled chaos. And you need to be able to write out what your expectations are of that team. Are you going to be enlisting a team to do those things for you? Are you going to delegate it? Are you going to be enlisting a team to just be able to understand, hey, this is going to have to suffer? Got to figure that out right now. Last but not least, what you need to do is you need to, on this paper, on this game plan, you need to be able to start writing down your growth metrics. What's your goal? What are the growth metrics that are going to help you be accomplished in that area? And then how do you put blinders on and everything else? When I use Facebook, I pretty much never use Facebook for social purposes. I use it for business purposes. Do I want to be social with people and have a great time? Absolutely. But the way that my schedule is set up and the way that my time and my attention and my resources are set up, I cannot be a socialite and accomplish the goals that I set out to accomplish at the level in which I seek out to accomplish it, all in one life at this particular juncture. So you got to be able to make those hard decisions, put it down on paper, enlist your team, choose the thing you're going to be good at, choose the thing that you're going to suffer at, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.